All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? I'm Charles Smith III, the host of the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. And today we have an extremely special guest. His name is Carlos Ugalde, and he is the owner and the founder of a Latino brand called House of Chingasos. And so I really look forward to this. I was telling them right before the interview, this is the first Latino brand that we've interviewed on the show. I'm really looking forward to hearing his story. He went from zero to $2 million in revenue over the last couple of years. And so this is going to be something, as always, that I know is going to be inspiring, but at the same time, informational. So with that being said, I really look forward to having this conversation with Carlos. We're going to hit this intro video and be right back for the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. What's happening, T-Shirt Millionaire? So I'm Charles Smith III, the host of the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. And as I said before, we have Carlos Ugalde. I was making sure I got it right when I talked to him. Carlos Ugalde, he's the founder and owner of House of Chingasos. My brother Carlos, how you doing, my brother? My name is Carlos in Spanish. How you doing, man?
There you go, Charles. It's great to be here with you, man. What a fun time to be here right now and talk about all this great stuff. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. I was telling you, when somebody from Instagram, you are actually one of the second guests that have come on the show where somebody has given me a recommendation. They were like, check this person out. They're doing great things. And so I go over to the page. I want to talk about like your content, everything you got over there. It's amazing. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. And one of the first questions I wanted to ask you for the audience is, what exactly does House of Chingasos mean? What are we talking about? What does that mean, my brother?
I knew that one was coming, my friend. Everybody always asks. It's one of those fun words, and in Latin culture, chingaso is like if your parents give you a chingaso and you're acting up, you know, it's a fresh one they're going to give you like that, you know? So it's kind of like house of pain, house of fighting, house of stuff, but in a fun way, you know?
Absolutely.
A fun way that just, you know, takes you back to those fun days when you were a kid getting disciplined by the parents, but it's great.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, seems like a lot of that humor, a lot of funny things going on your page and on your site. So House of Chingasos, how did you start it, bro? Like, how did it start? Where did this idea begin for you?
Well, like so many people, you know, I started dabbling in the t-shirt business with Printful and trying to do anything to kind of make a buck. And of course, the first thing I went to was, I'm going to start a cat t-shirt brand because, of course, the whole internet loves cats.
Right.
So I'll become a millionaire instantly and just sell a bunch of cat t-shirts. And I took a course. I had paid a lot of money for one of these t-shirt guru courses and learned some things, but didn't quite work out, you know, the way I thought. And so, and I wasn't passionate about cats anyway.
Yeah.
So that didn't give me the drive to keep going forward past the stumbling blocks. So after that, you know, you try a couple more things, but I always had passion for the Latino culture, you know, growing up in Los Angeles and California. So I said, I want to start a Latino t-shirt brand. And when I would look on Google Images, I saw kind of jokey t-shirts. They were kind of like tacos and tequila type of thing, real kind of basic, generic. And I said, we could do something better than this, a little more culturally relevant, funnier, with a better design aesthetic, you know, that really touches people about the Latino humor and heart and struggles and all that great stuff. And so I started House of Chingasos, although back then it was called Remezclas. It had a different name. And so we changed the name. We had a shirt called House of Chingasos that kind of took off from the beginning. It was our first real success with the t-shirts. And it took off. So about a year later, we just kind of went with House of Chingasos. It seemed a little bit cooler, a little more fun.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are now.
I love it. So Remezclos, what was it?
Remezclas, Remezclas.
Remezclos.
So that it means remix. And it turns out there was another company, a media company called Remezcla, that was kind of like a BuzzFeed type of site. And so they weren't happy with that. And so even though they were a newsfeed site, we were a t-shirt site, we had nothing in common. We figured it'd be easier to change the name, and what better name to change it to than our bestseller, that really resonated with everyone. So we said, okay, have your way. And we had House of Chingasos.
Absolutely. So I love that. First off, I want to tell you why. So it seems like you started something and then you had this bestseller, something that really stood out that your audience gravitated towards, and then you pivoted and went in that direction. And one of the common themes that I keep hearing over and over from when I have these interviews is there's usually this bestseller that kind of catapults the t-shirt brand in a certain direction upward. And it seemed like that's one of the things that happened to you. So I want to talk about that. But first, I want to kind of rewind to a few things that you mentioned before. You talked about stumbling blocks and not really understanding or knowing how to get past blocks when you first got started. You took that course, things happen, you didn't really get the success. What made you, what do you feel like didn't give you that boost when you first got started? Like what things were you dealing with? What were you struggling with in the early stages?
Well, a little bit of everything. I mean, I'm a designer.
Okay.
By trade. Before this, I was working in a marketing agency as a graphic designer and copywriter.
Okay.
So the great thing about it, I was able to design my own shirts. So that part wasn't a problem in the t-shirt business, even with the cats. It was kind of really connecting and speaking the language of the cat people and kind of creating good ads. And even really with Facebook advertising, just really not having that passion to really get the right audiences, cold traffic or whatever else. So I lost, a lot of motivation really quickly when success didn't come quickly. But with, the House of Chingasos brand or the Remezclas when it started, I had that drive. So even if we hadn't had success like from the beginning with the House of Chingasos shirt, I knew I would have pushed through because I knew the value was there and the people that I wanted to reach, needed to be reached. And so no matter what was going to happen, whether it was Facebook ad problems or creative problems or targeting problems or whatever, I was going to overcome those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very powerful. Very powerful. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's valuable for, the people who are, at the very beginning stages getting started. Now, when you ended up making this switch over to House of Chingasos, how were you fulfilling from the very beginning? I know you talked about using Printful. Have you been using them from the start? Tell me about just the fulfillment method.
Yes, we started with Printful from the start just because it was such an easy way to get into the market.
Yeah.
And not have any startup costs.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people have moved and do their own printing in-house. And I think that's something we're looking into as well. But Printful has been such a great partner with us. And especially once you get to a level of sales, you get a whole different level of service. And so we have access to a lot of customer support that you won't have in the beginning. But once you get there, it's great. We have an opportunity now through Printful. We're going to be getting onto the Walmart marketplace and things that they kind of set up and that they have access to that is really, really been great for us. But yeah, mostly it's all been print on demand by Printful.
So that's amazing. So definitely, I'm very familiar with Printful. And so you really, love their service. And I want to kind of talk about that, right? I want to talk about, the positive aspects and things that you've enjoyed. And so, you go in, easy to market, no upfront costs. You talked about a level of support. So at the very beginning, did you have customer service reps or people that you could reach out to, or, did that come later on as you started building up sales?
That came later on. Right now, Printful gives us, I have 3 people through Printful that they give to me for free. Awesome. That answer now all my customer service emails and take care of all that.
Wow.
So that's something that's amazing to me because especially when you had really big months and you're growing success, answering all your own customer service emails can be pretty brutal sometimes, especially when we were doing really well during the height of the pandemic. In April, we had so many emails coming in and it was just me. I ended up kind of having to hire a friend of mine to help me break it up because it was insane, whether it's, good comments or just questions about where's my order or something was wrong with my order. It was just so much. I would just wake up and dread having to look at my emails because I knew it was going to be an avalanche.
Yeah.
So now with Printful, like I said, I don't even have to really look at that. They do all my customer service emails as well as my Facebook inquiries on the page. So it's really a blessing.
Wow. So that's really amazing. And I never have even heard of that service that they provide. So for everybody watching, Carlos has built up his business to a certain level. He has 3 customer service reps that work at Printful that help his answer his emails and help him sustain so he doesn't have to do it. So that's amazing. I really love that. So all right, Carlos. So tell me this House of Chingasos, what time frame are we looking at? Is this back in 2019? Like around what time is this? When you start?
We launched, I know the date exactly. We launched in January 11th of 2019.
Okay.
And so again, I was really I'd taken the course on the marketing on Facebook. I was using an app within Shopify called Trackify to build lookalike audiences and do things like that. But I'm kind of more of a creative person, so I always put that off. I hated looking at data. I didn't even like looking at Ads Manager and look at the numbers to scale. So the first month we did $3,500 in sales, which to me was really amazing.
Yeah.
The second month I was still kind of scaling in this funky way that I had. So the second month we did 11,000. And then I realized I really had to kind of buckle down and learn the stuff that I didn't want to learn, the numbers and Trackify and the data part of it.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then the third month we had $54,000 a month in sales, which of course is so huge. Here, the first month, 3,500, now in your third month, 54,000. It was overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Of course, we've done so much more since then, but it was something that I would tell everybody, learn the difficult stuff. It's not just, I'm going to make a beautiful t-shirt, people are going to buy it. You have to learn some of the difficult stuff, and that includes marketing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's really great to hear that. Boom, 35, 11, 54 in your third month. At that point in time, was it still that one t-shirt that was kind of, being your driver, or did you have other products that were in your catalog that allowed you to be able to scale and people were buying as well?
In the beginning, it was mostly the House of Chingasos original t-shirt. Okay. We had a couple more that we would kind of put out there. There was one that said, Sin lucha no hay victoria, which means, no pain, no gain, or no struggle, no success.
Yeah.
And so we had a couple of good ones, but the House of Chingasos was the main one in the beginning. And we only had a catalog of about 13 shirts at the time. And then, so now we've got a catalog of over 200.
Wow.
We're constantly trying to launch new shirts every month and keep it fresh and keep things interesting. But of course, we have the classics that people love and they always come back to, and we can always bring those out of the closet and market them again a little bit later.
Yeah. Absolutely. So no, that's amazing to hear. And I want to kind of talk about the ad stuff. So you talked about how you ended up, learning, buckling down, understanding how to read those numbers, so forth and so on. But tell me this, when you were running your ads, as far as like the creative, were you doing pictures of the shirt? Were people wearing it? Were you doing videos? Like what types of creatives did you find to be successful early on?
So you know what? In the beginning, it was just a picture of the t-shirt mock-up. And I think I would just pull the t-shirt mock-up from my Printful, store and do that. Then I found a great resource. Everybody should take a look at it. It's called placeit.net.
Yep.
And allows you to create mock-ups with models wearing whatever you want, sweatshirts, hoodies. And it's such a great job because it looks like they're really wearing the clothing. It looks like you had a photo shoot with people there, and you can choose from everything. They have Hispanic, Black, white, families, children, everything. Right. So that's so great. And then the creators at first, and now I can't really tell. I always use single image ads. I've never done video. And what I do is I use the post instead of the actual ad. So when you're an ads manager, at the very end, it lets you use an existing post, but then you create the post right there, brand new. And it gives you a little bit more space to work with, lengthwise. It's 1,200 pixels by 1,650 pixels. So it gives you more real estate on somebody's feed and has a little bit more pop. So it's worked really well for me. And so, yeah.
I love it. So I think those are, some valuable tips for everybody in the audience, right? So, number one, he's used, the mock-up straight out of Placeit. Out of Printful. He's used Placeit.net, but at the same time, using single image ads and using the post, maybe from one of his social media feeds, has been really helpful in giving it a pop as well. I want to kind of talk about your social media, brother. I ended up, I was on it today, and I ended up sending something to my wife. It was hilarious. So it was this one right here.
Oh, yeah.
Kids nowadays do what TF they want. growing up, I couldn't even open two kinds of cereal at once. You know what I'm saying? So I go through and I'm looking at all your content, and it's just a lot of like fun stuff. You know what I'm saying? I even like
Right.
my wife, she sent this back to me. She was like, I love the Mexcellent shirt. You know what I'm saying? So tell me about like your social media like strategy and content, right? Because when we look at this, you don't have a ton of t-shirts, but it's just stuff that's engaging your audience. So tell me about that.
So I think, I'm sure a lot of your audience have heard about Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's kind of a marketing mogul. And I remember reading a book of his that was called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yeah.
And what he basically is saying is a lot of times, too many times when you have a brand or a product, you just say, hey, look what I'm selling. And then you say, look at this next thing I'm selling, and look at this next thing I'm selling, or look at the sale I'm having. And what he kind of says, and what I took away from it, was saying, give to your audience stuff that they just want, that's going to make them laugh, that's going to engage with them, that's going to make their day. Just give them a shout out, happy Monday, and then sprinkle in, hey, by the way, you have this cool new shirt. We have this great sale going on for Mother's Day, or whatever it is, and kind of spend most of your time just building a reputation, and a rapport with your audience instead of trying to always sell them.
Right. No, I love it. I love it. And I think I love Gary V, right? Everybody watching, jab, 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 right hook. Give, ask, right?
Right?
And that seems like what you're exactly what you're doing. So I love that, brother. I love the strategy, and it seemed to do really well for you. When I look at, your profile, you're at like 50, almost 52,000 people. Have you seen that just like consistently rise ever since you started a brand, or did you get to a certain point where you had kind of like a spike and it started growing more?
Yeah, in the beginning, I did start just kind of doing just pictures of people wearing the t-shirts, right? And very slow. And then, of course, when I started engaging more with just like the memes and things like that, more and more and more. And then there was a time that we were about 18,000 people. It kind of jumped really good up to 25,000 very quickly. We were getting like 1,000 followers a week, really good. And then it kind of plateaued, and it was so weird to me. And I just, just started doing some different hashtags, nothing fancy, more content. And yeah, it's just very organic, and right now we have a steady, following that grows. It's just the more you post, the more funny things you post, the more relevant things you post, you're going to get people that are engaged.
Right. Do you do a lot of your social media posting, or you have somebody that helps you with it?
No, that I still do.
Yep.
It's going to be something I kind of want to work with a scheduling software.
Yeah.
That you can get together on a Sunday, put together all your stuff for the week.
Right.
Because sometimes, you forget. You're busy doing a bunch of other things. You go, oh my God, I haven't posted anything all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do it all myself. Same thing with Facebook. Facebook, we have like 91,000 followers. So that's good over there. We started that first, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, but really important to engage with the audience.
Absolutely. Really cool. So I love it, brother. So tell me, for your first year, right? Because I know we have, this 10 million from zero to the 2 million. For your first year in 2019, like how did you perform in 2019?
I think by the end of the first year, by January 1st, we had done 670 something thousand.
Awesome.
And so now I think we're at 2.3 million.
Okay. Yeah.
So the second year, and now 3 months, we weren't even selling because we got caught up with the pandemic. We were selling so high, but Printful had to shut down because of the pandemic to half-mast.
Yeah.
So I had to hire a buddy of mine in California. Things didn't go that great, but I wasn't able to advertise in the meanwhile for 3 months because we were so backed up on catching up orders.
Right.
So I think we'd be a little bit further ahead even if we would have had those 3 months to sell.
Yeah.
But, it was, the second year has definitely been better than the first, and we're looking forward to the third now.
Absolutely. When, during those years, from month to month, have you found it to be pretty consistent and continue to just rise gradually, or have you had any times of the year where you've like produced like really major spikes?
Yeah, I mean, always major spike around the holidays. We have some great holidays selling, shirts that just go crazy around the holidays. I think this last holiday season from December 1st to January 1st, we did 265,000 in sales, which was our biggest month.
Yeah.
But during the COVID season in April, we created 2 shirts. both COVID related, that kind of took off, and everybody was kind of locked in at home. And all of a sudden, so I think that contributed to people, having nothing to do. They're all, hey, this is a fun shirt. This is so great. And so we had a $203,000 month in April, during everything. And so those were our two biggest months. But yeah, overall, it's consistently growing month to month. And now that we're incorporating more with an email team, that reaches out, that's, helping our bottom line too.
Absolutely. So no, that's amazing. And so you said in April you had a big spike, and that was off of just like a COVID shirt that really drove a lot of that.
Yeah, it was just off a COVID shirt, and I couldn't believe it, because that was the thing, because we have such a niche brand that we basically sell within the United States to Latinos, right? We can't sell Mexican related shirts in Brazil or other places. It just doesn't translate.
Right.
But this was a coronavirus funny shirt. It was a concert T-shirt that, instead of, it had parody names of the band. So instead of Miley Cyrus, it was Miley Virus. Instead of the Wuhan Clan or the Wu-Tang Clan, it was the Wu-Hang Clan. Funny things like this, but it looked like a real concert T-shirt if you weren't paying attention to it from the back. Right. So people really got it, and that we were able to market, in Europe and other countries, kind of globally. So that contributed kind of to the spike, and not just having to be straight Latinos in the U.S.
Right. Where do you get your inspiration for your shirts, man? I know you talked about being a graphic designer, but how do you get inspired to come up with like these ideas?
There's so many sources, anything from family members. Family members are always giving you ideas, right?
Yeah.
They're not always the best, but you still listen. Some of them are great. Again, you just do some research. You see what's out there, just like I did in the beginning. And you say, look at funny Latino T-shirts. And you look at some, you go, that's so bad, but I could make it good if I just change this, or if I change the wording, or if I made the graphics better, or something. Anything nowadays, you just walk down the street, anything can become inspiration when you're kind of like a T-shirt entrepreneur. And there's tons of things I go, oh my God, that'd be so funny. I screenshot it on my phone. Or I take pictures, or I text myself. Because there's inspiration all over the place.
So I love that. I think that's a gem for the audience, right? Carlos is getting inspiration from people walking down the street. He sees something, he screenshots, he writes notes, and then he talks about how maybe he can adjust it and maybe make things better. Tell me this. Let's have a kind of quick design discussion, because obviously you have like this message behind your brand. But then, you have these designs that come out really good. What makes for a good design, Carlos? Like, I've seen times where, somebody had one design, somebody just switched the whole graphics, the layout, the fonts, and that design was like 10 times better. So what do you feel are like the ingredients of making like a really good design that connects?
That's such a great question. And one thing I've always told myself, I have this test, and I call it the grocery store test. And so if you're in a grocery store and you're in line with someone, you were to look at this shirt, right? Would you say, wow, that's a cool shirt? Even if it's not meant for you, would you say, hey, that's a cool shirt? And for that to be either, is it funny? Is the design aesthetic, really, on point? Is it something memorable? There's so many factors that go into it. So I've had also designs that are just text-based, especially on a hat or something, that sell like crazy, but that's because the message is so funny. So to me, it's something that either connects really well and has a great graphic element to it, or it can just connect really well with a powerful message or a super funny message that connects with that audience that your niche is a part of.
Yeah.
So, and then again, if you're looking in line and someone in front of you, would you say that's a cool shirt?
Absolutely. So yeah. I love that. The grocery store test. That's Carlos, we coining you right here. The grocery store test. So listen, y'all.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, absolutely. If y'all are thinking about a design, think about if you was in the line picking up your Snickers, your Reese, you saw somebody in front of you checking out. Would that be something that is cool? So I think that's some amazing advice. So tell me about some of the, I know you already mentioned being behind with COVID and stuff like that, but what are some of the challenges that you've had over time, Carlos, as far as you being on this journey for the past couple of years?
Well, like I said, aside from the first issue that was just learning kind of the data part of Facebook ads, and all that stuff. Then after that third month, that $54,000 month, I got so scared that I wouldn't be able to do any better that I went and I hired an agency. And I would tell most people that are tempted to do that because they're nervous about their own success or not being able to perform, try and do it yourself. Because I was in a 3-month contract with an agency. They didn't perform. They really did kind of what they were supposed to do, but they couldn't connect with my audience in the way that I could. So it just cost me agency money for 3 months. And then when it was done, we parted ways. And then by month after that, I had my biggest month ever. So it's like, why didn't I just keep going? And it was because, I had so much doubt that I could keep, that growth, that pace of that growth. So, and I think another issue is just constantly just always having to learn more. You're never done learning, right? Just when you think you've got this level of success, there's always something else you can do to improve. So just always keep growing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's, that's really good. And, it's funny, right? You say you got to like this pinnacle and you kind of had maybe thoughts in your head, like, can I keep this up? Can I keep it up? And it made you kind of pivot. And then you realize like, hey, I need to really just bring this back in house because of a connection. So I think for everybody, listening, I think that's a valuable lesson in itself. If you were to outsource to somebody, you need to make sure you put it in the hands of somebody who can really understand your whether it's your culture, your brand, whoever it is that you're trying to serve. That's very important. And so I think that's valuable. I appreciate that, Carlos. Outside, I know you mentioned about email marketing, but outside of ads right now, are you using any other channels to connect with your audience and do marketing and advertising?
No, and that's one of the, we're trying to get into retail now. So again, we just got accepted into Walmart Marketplace, and we want to reach out to other places that kind of have the vibe of our culture. So we're doing that as well, because I think when you lock yourself into one thing, whether it's just Facebook and Instagram ads, or if you're an Amazon seller just in Amazon, all that can be yanked from you, very quickly. Amazon can shut you down for some complaint. Facebook can block you for something. I see it happen all the time in my marketing groups. Yeah. Someone gets their ad account banned and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
So it's really good to have kind of a web and start building different, revenue streams for your brand, whatever it is. Whether it's email marketing, influencers, which we really don't do, but it's something we are really considering, retail, Amazon, because any one thing can go at one time and you don't want to be caught unaware like that.
Absolutely. Not putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's exactly it. Exactly it.
Absolutely. No, I think that's amazing. You mentioned Walmart. First off, congratulations. I think that's dope, man. Tell me about that. Tell me about the process and how did that, evolve?
So again, that was one of the great things of being a kind of a bigger seller on Printful. Printful, my customer success rep, put the thing together, and they have rapport with these big companies, and they said, here's the application. We spoke to Walmart about your brand. They're very excited. So you fill out an application, you go through the process, give them all your business info, and then they review it. So we got approved. So now we're going through the process of sending them designs, figuring out all the details, how the shipping works, how the payments work. And hopefully maybe next week or something, we'll have some shirts up. But really the deal was brokered by Printful. So I'm super grateful to them for kind of hooking that up.
Okay. Well, shout out to Printful. I think that's dope, man. You just brought out two things that I didn't even know Printful does. So for everybody listening, Carlos has a customer success rep that ended up brokering this deal and being able to push him so he can get over into Walmart's marketplace. And that is one of the benefits as you start producing more sales that where Printful can benefit you. So I think that's extremely valuable, man. So tell me this, Carlos. I know you mentioned, you have about 200 designs now.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of designs going on in your store. Tell me, like, when it comes down to like your conversion rate, do you ever see any changes? Do people search around your site a lot? Like, and how often are you adding designs? I want to kind of talk about the volume of designs you have and how that's helped you over time.
So yeah, I try to add designs, at least a couple per month.
Okay.
And it really has to do something that really kind of speaks to me, right? So I don't just add designs to add designs. Something I think could be powerful. And of course, not all of my designs are gems.
Yeah.
Some of them you go and you test and you go, wow, this is gonna be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And then, wah, 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 it just, it falls short.
Right.
So, designing the shirts is fun. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of your question, Charles.
Yeah. So basically, as far as, so you talked about, how often you add them. Do you find that when it comes to even your conversions, are people, do you have them in different collections? Do you put them all in the same collection? How are you separating all of these designs on your store?
Yeah, so, we definitely have collections, right? But normally when we have an ad, the best practice I always found is take someone, if you're showing them a shirt, take them directly to that product page.
Okay.
So they're ready to check out. And then using a bunch of different apps, you can do all sorts of things. So when someone's going to check out, they bought a shirt about, something about liking beer, right? So then you get a nice pop-up that has, here, take 15% off. And then you have 3 or 4 shirts that are similar of your brand, to increase your average order value. But for conversions, definitely I take people to the product page rather than just taking them to a home page. Although for things like Mother's Day and Christmas, you're better off dropping them off at the collections page because they have so much to choose from. Mm-hmm. And then you get a nice, big cart filled with 5, 10, 15 things. So
I love it. And so, y'all, product page, that's where he mostly takes. And then he says for, these big holidays, he'll take them to a collection page where they can see multiple items. And I can resonate with that. I have a fatherhood brand, Carlos, and that's where, the past couple of years, I've taken them to that page so they can say, okay, I have all these different shirts that I can add, that I can buy. And, it really helps for larger orders. So that's dope. That's dope. I appreciate that. So what are you using Shopify? What? Cool.
Yeah, Shopify. I started with Shopify and I've been with them, since the beginning. It's kind of a cool platform, and not knowing anything about anything, it was pretty easy to kind of navigate and build a site and, add your own images and all that stuff. Of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's really kind of small.
Yeah.
So it's a great platform if you're just dipping your feet in the water.
Absolutely. What are some of your favorite apps on the platform?
Trackify.
Yeah.
By far, I think is the most important to help you create your lookalike audiences. Again, the videos are super easy. Their customer support is really great as well.
Yeah.
Trackify, one-click checkout, really, really good, for getting your customers out the door quicker.
Yeah.
Luke's, Loox reviews, super important. I have about 2,000 reviews on the customer review page, and those add so much credibility, and they separate them out so that if you go to a product page, it shows you the reviews for that product, but it also aggregates them all into one particular page. So now you have, so if you go, there you go. So it takes all your products and puts them all into one page so they can see all these reviews of all your customers.
So it's great.
Powerful. It's a super great tool. So definitely Luke's, Trackify, one-click checkout, Klaviyo for email. We use Klaviyo for email. It's one of the standards out there. So yeah, powerful tools.
I love it, man. I love it. This is so dope, and it's just really good. As I'm clicking through and looking at all those reviews, social proof. You got it plastered all over the place. Yes. And so, when people get to the website, they know that it's official, it's legit. It's almost like one of those things where, you'll see somebody like a restaurant and people are wrapped around the building. That's kind of what you got going on here. So
that's what you try to do. Your social proof is so important nowadays.
Yeah, that's really good. So how do you spend your day most of the time these days, Carlos? I know you got Printful, they're handling all the fulfillment. You got some customer service people. So how do you spend your days running your business, and where do you allocate your time?
Well, it's funny. The evenings is, for whatever reason, when I'm the most creative. So I like to come up with designs and work while I got the TV on and just create and look at things and work on Photoshop and create things. So in the evenings, I design. In the morning, first thing I do is I check the ads manager on Facebook and see if I need to cut or scale ads for that day, and see what's going on with that. Other than that, it's really kind of just doing a little bit of research. It's one of those great things where it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Now it's going to take a little more time with the Walmart thing and all that. But between design and ads management, it's a pretty short day, but definitely in the morning, ads, data, checking emails, and then in the evening, design time.
Absolutely. No, I love it, man. I think that it's it looks like you have like a nice balance there, and you can put your time into the part that you really love as far as creating.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a quick ad question really quick. So you talked about you look at your ads manager and when to turn things off and stuff like that. Like how do you, what logic do you use for yourself, Carlos? When you know an ad is working, or you're like, no, this is going too far, I need to go ahead and turn it off. Like, how are you kind of thinking about that? How do you work through that process of shutting ads down?
Well, so when I create a campaign for, let's say, a particular shirt, right, I get my target audience, whether it's a lookalike audience or a cold traffic audience. Let's say I'm targeting people that like Latino beers. Yeah. So I get that, and for every ad set, I'll just duplicate that same ad set 10 times within one campaign.
Okay.
Right? So then I let it run for 2 days. If by 2 days my campaign ROAS isn't a good ROAS, and you can determine your own break-even ROAS, but I can tell almost in day one, you get like 9 sales kind of right here. I can tell by the middle of the second day, this is not going well at all. Although I have been surprised sometimes where I let it run 3 or 4 days and then it picks up.
Yeah.
But then with the individual ad sets, I just go by my break-even ROAS, and then I go a little bit higher than that just to give myself a little more cushion. Mm-hmm. So my break-even ROAS is 1.98. I cut it off at 2.50. Mm-hmm. If it's going in a downward trend, it's hardly ever going to go higher. Mm-hmm. So I just cut it off before any more damage is done. No mercy. Because a lot of times we just pray that it'll get better.
Yeah.
We do something, and it rarely ever does. So I just cut it off. No mercy.
Right.
And that's it.
That's interesting. So you find a specific interest or targeting option and you duplicate that 10 times?
Yes. So you have 10 ad sets all with the same interest.
Wow.
Well, once after that, if you see, and the minute I get 2 sales with a profitable ROAS, I duplicate that ad set at a higher budget. So if I got a sale with 9 ROAS that just sold 2 shirts, I'll duplicate that ad set at $20 because I started with a $10 budget per ad set. Duplicate that. And then if that one performs, then I'll duplicate that one 3 times at $50. But I cut it off if it spends $10 without a sale. I cut it off immediately because you can lose tons of money that way, waiting for it to go through the whole budget. So you just increase the budget. And then you can scale vertically as well. I mean, horizontally as well within that same campaign and duplicate your ad sets with different interests. So you can go all over the place within the same campaign, duplicating and scaling horizontally and vertically.
Awesome. No, I love that. I love just always hearing, people's ad frameworks and how they're going about it. And, you talked about duplication, $10, no sale. If something is working good and it's profitable, a couple of sales, you'll duplicate that. So very, very powerful stuff. I appreciate you sharing the framework. I want to mention something, Mr. D Woods. He's our guy. He does a lot of research on the show. He shows a lot of love, and so I wanted to ask this question. He said, no kid hungry, and House of Chingasos. Every purchase helps feed a kid in need. Charity for when buying a T-shirt. Admirable Carlos. So tell me about this initiative of how you're giving back, man.
So it's one of those things, and I'm so humbled that you brought that up. I wasn't going to discuss it. It's something we just kind of do on our own. We kind of tell people in some of our shirts, hey, we have this charity that we donate to. It's such a worthy charity. And it's just something that we feel like if you're an entrepreneur or a successful business of any kind, it's always great to give back in whatever way you can. And I think to partner with any type of charity that you like and that you believe in is one way you can do that. So with No Kid Hungry, and we don't even have an official partnership with them. We just give them checks every so often, and they love that. And so it's just one of those things that we do on our own because it feels good and we think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, brother. And like I said, kudos, just like Mr. D Woods said, I think it's admirable for you to give back as you're earning and growing. So I love that, man. So what's in the future? What's in store for the future? Where do you see House House of Chingasos growing over the next year? I mean, we're still early in 2021. How do you want to finish off the year? What are some of your goals?
I'd like to get into some big retail outlets that kind of jive with our sensibility. One of the ones that comes off the top of my head is Hot Topic. There's a lot of Latinos and that are into kind of the goth scene and all that stuff, and we kind of are in that skull vein with cool messages, and I think that more Latinos could be catered to in Hot Topic.
Yeah.
The Walmart thing, I think growing more into becoming more of a brand and less in trying to sell on Facebook and sell, and more about just putting the message out there and having other people kind of talk about us and being in other places other than just the internet is where we'd like to be in the next year and just kind of grow from there.
Okay. No, amazing, brother. Amazing. I love the the expansion goals that you have and like the different stores, and you've done a lot of great things. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's all there. You can go to the website and see it. So, my brother, this has been extremely amazing, man. I learned so much. I know the audience has learned much. It's always inspiring to see just how people started, the things that you may go through in the early stages, and to see that, you can grow regardless of business model, right? Some people feel in house, you're doing print on demand and you're knocking it out, and you go to your website and you got all these people wearing your shirts, you're getting into Walmart, Printful is doing customer service for you, all these great things. So kudos to you, man. And last thing that I just want to ask you is, where can the people find you? If somebody wants to support, buy from you, follow you, how can they find you on social media?
Just at houseofchingasos.com or at House of Chingasos, then on the website, houseofchingasos.com, and then on Facebook as well. All the links are on the bottom of the website for social media. So anybody wants to come and take a look around, get some information, see kind of how we do it, you're welcome to. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely, my brother. Well, look, man, many blessings to you, Carlos. Thank you for sharing all this information, putting your unique fingerprint on the T-Shirt Millionaires live show. I'm forever grateful for it, man. And I wish you the best, and we'll definitely be in touch, all right?
Thanks so much, Charles. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
You too. And another one. I love that whole conversation with Carlos. That was extremely inspiring for me, inspirational. I am very inspired, number one, by how much people really connect with his T-shirt brand. It's deep. You to be able to get a couple thousand reviews where people are leaving pictures and great comments about your brand, that means that you've really built a connection. You've built a following, right? And to also see that this is a pure example of him starting with print on demand, and he's used them over time. And just to hear his story about reaching different heights as far as his sales with print on demand, and how he has perks that other people aren't really privy to, right? I didn't even know that Printful had a customer success team to where they can pitch you to be in different platforms such as a Walmart and be able to get in. Or I didn't know that they have a service to where they handle your customer service, right? I didn't know that even existed. So I think that's just extremely powerful. And one reason why I really just love having these interviews is we always learn something new. There's always something new coming up in the conversation, a new nugget, a new way of working things. And I just think that it's extremely powerful. And so y'all know how it do. Somebody in one of the last interviews, they was like, I need to go ahead and leave a commentary. So here goes the golden commentary today. All right. So with that being said, first off, we talked about Carlos's journey and how he got started. All right. He ended up starting. He didn't really get the success that he wanted. He ended up getting the course, but things weren't working out. He wasn't focused. All right. And not saying that he wasn't focused, but things just weren't clicking at the very beginning like he wanted it to. Number one, he ended up switching and changing his brand name. I think he called it Remesculous. I think that was the name of it. Y'all get me right. I know it's House of Chingasos, but I think it was Remesculous. I think that's what it was. And he had that, and there was like another company out there that had a similar name. And so they ended up changing it, but basically they changed it because they had a t-shirt that was pretty much their best seller. A lot of people were flocking to it, and so they ended up changing it to House of Chingasos based on that specific shirt. I told Carlos, based on a lot of the different interviews that we have, I hear it over and over again. This one t-shirt usually gives people trajectory and starts growing stuff. And that's exactly what happened for him. And he switched over. He's been doing Printful from the very beginning because it's easy to get in the market. No upfront costs. Y'all know my story. I told y'all when I started print on demand, when I started my first t-shirt business, I was flat broke. I didn't have anything, but I had ideas. And me having ideas, I figured out the money was in the ideas, and I could paint these blank products with designs, with emotion, all these different things. And then people started buying into it. And that's what he ended up doing, right? He started there. He injected with this brand. He started off strong too. 3,500 for the first month, 11,000 for the second month, 54,000 for the third month. He ended up getting to the third month doing the 54,000 and was like, oh, dang, I did 54,000. Can I keep this up? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it a fluke or was it like the real deal Holyfield? Could I keep it up? And the great story and the great lesson in that is he had thoughts about it. He passed it on to an agency, but the agency didn't do a very good job because they didn't know how to speak to the audience. They didn't know how to connect with the audience. So for anybody who's thinking about outsourcing your marketing, outsourcing your ads or whatever it is, it's more than somebody just clicking in the ads manager and being able to, understand how to work it and know the buttons. It's way more than that. They need to understand the demographic, the background, the message, the feel, the emotion of your audience in order to connect. That's simple proof of a brand that can work. But if the right person, the right emotion is not injected in that brand, then somebody else can take it over that don't have that same DNA, and it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't work. And then you might look at the brand and be like, oh, maybe it's not the brand. No, it's not the brand. It's the person behind the brand. You feel what I'm saying? And so I thought that was a really valuable lesson as well. He started out with 13 shirts, but he talked about how he grew over time and ended up doing 200 shirts. So he got like 200 shirts. And he says that he's not putting new shirts on the website just for the heck of it, but basically he gets ideas, right? He gets ideas and he'll put them out there. The great thing that he talked about, this is Carlos's coin phrase. He said that you should use the grocery store test. When you're designing t-shirts, use the grocery store test. So if you were in the grocery store and you saw somebody's t-shirt, how does it connect? Is it funny? Is the design aesthetic there? Does it have something that makes you connect that's emotional, right? And if you can look at that in the grocery store and see it and be like, wow, that caught my attention. That's a great shirt. That might be a good idea that you should put on your platform, on your store, and start trying to sell. So that's kind of how he processes how to put his new designs out. And I really feel like it's valuable because he's used it, but he's a designer himself, right? He's a natural designer himself. And so with that being said, that's how he processes the new designs and gets them out into the marketplace. So remember the grocery store test. All right. Also, we talked about the whole retail marketplace, Walmart marketplace thing. That's something that you could possibly do, right? That's another avenue, another channel to get your ads in. He really talked about being able to learn Facebook ads, right? And the different strategies that he uses to be able to run his ads. Few things that he talked about. He spoke on, he'll have one ad set, right? He'll have one interest, one set of targeting, and he will duplicate that 10 times, all in one campaign. He'll duplicate it 10 times and he'll let it run. And he looks at some of the interest, right? He says, okay, if he runs $10, no sales, he'll cut it off, right? If he finds something that has like a 9 ROAS, maybe it started up, got a couple sales, did really good, he'll duplicate that, right? You know what I'm saying? He'll find the different creatives that he uses. he keeps it simple. He'll take the creative right off of Printful, right? And then he'll use Placeit.net and use those. All right. He talked a lot about lookalike audiences and using Shopify and doing lookalike audiences. So that's something that he uses to be able to find his audience. So I thought that was really valuable. And then when we talk about some of the apps that he used, Trackify, we talked about Trackify. He talked about one-click checkout. All right. So one-click checkout, that's one that you could probably look into. He also talked about Looks, Loox, Looks. That's where he has all of those reviews on his website. So those are some of the things that he uses to be able to boost his website. And basically from here, man, I love, you know what I'm saying, his lifestyle and the way that he's living. He's doing the print on demand. He doesn't really have to deal much with the customer service. And the evening he gets inspired, he finds designs, he creates, and he's just running like that. And he's done about 2.3 million just over the last couple of years. So y'all, if that's not inspiring for you, if that doesn't give you proof that you can make it happen, if that doesn't give you some gems about how you should attack your brand and your message and your designs, come on, man. That's what we're doing every single week. We are looking at this t-shirt brand game from another perspective. I'm coming over here and I'm looking at it. I'm looking under the hood. I'm peeking around the corner. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing all these different things. I'm trying to ask these questions so we can get these different perspectives, because I learned that it's not only one way to do it. There's several ways to skin a cat, and we get in so many different ways to do it, interview after interview after interview. So I'm super inspired. I appreciate my guy. I told him this was the first Latino brand that we had on the show. I always love to do something new. I appreciate his friend who ended up reaching out to me and getting the recommendation and making a connect. And we just going to keep pushing T-shirt millionaires and having these great interviews. So with that being said, y'all, those are the cliff notes. Those are the millionaire notes for the day. You feel what I'm saying? I appreciate every single person. I thank y'all for the support. I want to let y'all know something too, man. There's such a big project happening behind the scenes right now. It is ridiculous. T-shirt Millionaires is going to be the place where we can all come together, where we can unite, where we can have community, where we can stand under a banner and we can grow together. T-shirt Millionaires isn't about Charles. T-shirt Millionaires is about us as a community. We're aspirational. We're thinking about where we can take things. We believe in our dreams. We're creators, right? You know what I'm saying? We don't fold under pressure. We make things happen. We bring our visions to life. We support each other. We give to each other. We're not always thinking about taking. This is a community. This is for us. And we got something real soon where we're all going to be able to gather in the community. And it's going to be nothing like the t-shirt industry ever seen ever before. It's going to change the game. And it's going to be in the benefit of helping each other grow. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your family, your friends, put it in a Facebook group, send it to anybody who you think this would inspire, and they can find this information to be valuable. And with that being said, I will see y'all on the next interview. I'm gonna end it as I always end it. Oh, I can't end it. I gotta make sure Healthy Hair. Hey, I appreciate you, Healthy Hair. Thank you so much. I'm always humbled of the super chats. Love this community, Charles. Thanks. You're exactly right. This is a community. This is a family. And this is only the beginning. T-shirt Millionaires. As I always say. Oh, hold on. Before I even get to that, I just want to make sure that I shout out my guy, Hustle Ninjas. My guy, Rich. I wore his merch today. Hustle Ninjas. Stay hungry. You know what I'm saying? I always want to make sure that I give a shout out to everybody that's due. We got some great unboxings. I ended up going to the post office. Great unboxings coming up this week. So y'all be in tune for that. And I'm going to go ahead and end it, man. If you can see it in your mind's eye, one day you're going to be able to see it with your real eyes. I appreciate y'all, man. Peace. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Talk soon.